welcome everybody. Glad to see you all show up. Yeah, and welcome to the first Fall Design Your Future event. I'm Vicente Hernandez. I'm the Games at UCSC Community Manager, and I'll kind of be like the host of the event. Yeah, I'm a senior with in the AGPM major, and yeah, I'm just really excited to help out with this event. So yeah, this program is offered in collaboration between the Career Success Team and the AGPM program, which is housed within the Arts Division. These events will inspire banana slugs on what they can do with their degree and find their path in the games industry. So I just want to provide some logistics for the beginning, just to let you all know we are recording this event. So we ask that everyone just stay on mute unless directed otherwise. If you have any questions, go ahead and put them in the chat box. I'm going to be keeping an eye on them, and we'll be answering those questions in the Q&A sessions during this event. So yeah, and they should be directed at the co-hosts, which are Tad Leckman and Christina Hall here. And the three of us will be taking those questions and they'll be answering them. Just a quick breakdown of today's event. There's going to be a 45-minute presentation by UCSC faculty member Tad Leckman, and he'll be talking about job searching in the games industry. After that, we're going to be having a 15-minute Q&A session directed at that presentation. And then after that, we're going to have 30 minutes of activities and resources, which are going to be led by career coach Christina Hall. After that one, there's going to be another Q&A session. And we should be wrapping up around 6 p.m. So now we're going to do a quick survey to see where everyone is at their job search right now. And we're going to be doing the same survey afterwards just to see how this talk has helped you all out. So here I'll go ahead and put up the poll. Everyone should be able to see it.
Hey, this is AGPM Program Manager Bennett just chiming in here. We really appreciate you guys doing this poll. We're trying it this way for the first time. There's been a big push in the Arts Division and in AGPM in particular to partner with the Career Center and make more meaningful career events. So what this poll, doing one here at the beginning, and then we're going to do the same one at the end, really allows us to see in a sort of fine-grained way, like what did you all get out of this? So it should be easy to just go through it pretty quickly. We're just asking these general questions about, where do you feel that you're at with these different aspects of getting your job search started. So yeah, we appreciate your honesty. If you're feeling, we heard from a lot of people that they feel like they don't know how to get started, and so if that's what you're saying in the poll, that's just fine. I think you're going to find that a lot of people feel that way. So thank you for doing this poll with us. And if it seems like it's working, well, you could let us know in the chat, really, like especially if this feels like better, then you'd be more likely to do a poll like this quickly in the meeting versus doing a separate like Google Doc after the meeting. Then we'd like to know, because this is a format that we could keep going with. And we can see the percentage of how many people have submitted. So we've got like 75 out of 85 people. We got almost 90% done in 2 minutes. So that's pretty good. And once we're done here, Vicente can share it and we can see kind of the overall maybe you could walk us through the results, Vicente, or Tad and Christina. We could kind of see where it looks like everybody's at. So that's my time filling plug for 2 minutes. And thanks for coming to the event. And you guys are gonna have to come up with something else for the entertainment for the end poll. 2 minutes and 30 seconds of solid content, but I believe in you.
We can play some elevator music at the end.
We need to get some Steam codes for folks or giveaways for the next ones for sure. This is the first one. I'm not saying there'll be giveaways in the future. All right. I'm not setting us up for that at all, but I think it's a good way to retain people. So, maybe we'll add a question for that in the poll, in a future poll for our winter event, which you will hear about. Permission codes. Yes, exactly. You want to try to get into this very hard to get into class? You can only do so by coming to our career talks. Sorry, no 170 for you.
Oh my God, Juan. You need to walk back everything you just said.
Yes, take
These
it back.
jokes are too real. Don't bring this upon yourself.
I know. I was like, well, what was the whole thing was battling people at Mario Kart in the office back in the before times. Definitely.
So we're at 95%. Why don't we, Vicente, why don't you end the poll and then we can see the results.
Yeah. All right. And I'm going to go ahead and share the results. All right. Tad and Christina, can you guys see the results? Are they up now?
Yes, I can.
Okay. All right. It looks like there's a lot of seniors here. It's cool. Mostly AGPM and CS game design ones. Let's see what else. Okay. A lot of people seem to know the different job roles in the industry, but I think there's also a number of neutrals and disagrees. Those are second and third place there, which is interesting. Well, most people don't know where to look for games job listings. That'll be, I think that's something that we might be able to cover today, which is good.
Tad, folks are saying that you're muted, just as a heads up.
I feel like Tad's making hella jokes and we're missing it.
I know.
Just made the best jokes. Oh my gosh, they're so good. No. I'm just saying, I hope that the answers for number 5 will change after my presentation. Otherwise, I've completely failed. Which projects? Others called? Yeah, this is a really cool poll.
Yeah, I'd like to see how what the end one's going to look like. Like to see the shift between these two. All right then. All right. Well, yeah, it seems like a lot of people came here with some, reasons to learn more about how to, like, they seem still pretty confused about the whole, like searching for jobs and like where to look and like what kind of roles they should be looking for. I mean, I can definitely relate to this. So I'm also hoping to get something out of this as well on the sidelines. So. All right, then I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing. And close that, and then we'll move on. All right, so as Tad mentioned before, He's going to be doing a talk, as well as Christina. So I'll go ahead and introduce Tad. This year is Tad Leckman's fourth year working at UCSC, where he teaches classes in computational media, AGPM, and DANM. Prior to joining the Santa Cruz faculty, Tad worked at Riot Games, Blizzard Entertainment, and also spent over 10 years working at multiple divisions of Lucasfilm. In addition to his industry experience, Tad has taught at the Academy of Art University and Savannah College of Art and Design, where his teaching almost always involved professional development and career advising. So he's been on both sides, helping students find studios and helping studios recruit and hire students. Everyone, I present to you Tad.
Thank you, Vincente. Okay, let me share my slides. You should be seeing my calibration slide. Chat, do we see the calibration slide? Yes. Okay, some of you know this slide. Hey, look, here we are. We're at this workshop. So yes, as Vincente mentioned, I teach multiple departments here. This is my fourth year teaching. My email is very easy to remember in case you want to connect with me later. It's just tad@ucsc.edu. So when we were talking about this workshop, we talked about goals, my goals, our goals for this workshop, and we boiled it down to this. My goal is to reduce some of your anxiety, especially around finding jobs, right? And so that is my goal. So in fact, we should have polled how much anxiety you have at the beginning, at the end, but we'll learn for next time. It is a big task, but I think I can. I didn't say eliminate. I said reduce anxiety. So let's start by, I'm going to share some things that maybe will help chip away at the anxiety and I set us up for kind of what we're going to do together. So first of all, your first job after college is not your forever job. You don't have to find the perfect job the minute that you graduate. It sometimes feels like that. You're often looking toward that job, but it's almost certainly not going to be your forever job. Also, you can't know what your dream job is. Because the thing you think is your dream job, you may not like if you ever get to do it. And you may discover something along the way that you hadn't even considered that turns out to be your dream job. So searching for your dream job is not something that's going to really be terribly useful. It's good to have like a vision of the kind of thing you want to do, but like trying to focus in on like the job is probably not a good idea. You'll probably have a bunch of jobs. And many of you have already had a bunch of jobs. And it's really hard to imagine what all those jobs are going to be. You will have a bunch of jobs. I had a bunch of jobs. I will have some more jobs, almost certainly. So let me talk a little bit about my jobs just so I can use that to illustrate some things. And I think it might be especially useful because I graduated from UCSC. I was you, except I would have been the one person in the poll who put other for their department and put literature, because I have a literature degree from UCSC. But here's kind of an overview of my job path. So I graduated from UCSC. I started working in Industrial Light and Magic up in Marin. While I was at ILM, I taught a couple of summer classes at NYU in Manhattan. And I started teaching some classes at Academy of Art University in San Francisco. And that turned into a full-time job. And then I got a job at Savannah College of Art and Design as a department chair in their visual effects program. And then I moved to Southeast Asia with my family to work for Lucasfilm in Singapore. So back to a different division of Lucasfilm. Then I came back to the States to work for a small visual effects and animation and game school called Escape Studios, which was based in London, but I helped them open up a studio in Southern California, or a school. Then I worked at Blizzard Entertainment. Then I went to Riot Games. By the way, that path between Blizzard and Riot is a two-way street, and I know many people who've gone one direction or the other between those two studios. And then now I'm back, and for the past 4 years, I've been teaching at UCSC. I think for continuity's sake, I probably should connect the dots on this flowchart so that it begins and ends in a circle with UCSC. But I'm leaving space because I'm not done. There are other jobs that will, in all possibility, come after that. But also, like, this starts with me graduating from college. My career didn't start at the point where I graduated. My job journey didn't start in college, graduation. In high school, on Hilton Head Island in South Carolina, I worked renting out videos at Video Plus. And I was an assistant manager and projectionist at the Park Plaza Cinemas while I was a high school student. And when I graduated from high school, I didn't go to college right away. I moved to Southern California to be an apprentice model maker and painted sets for commercials. Super glamorous. Look at my flock of seagulls 80s hair. Oh my God. Also, while I was at UCSC, I was working the whole time I was a student. So I worked the IT help desk in the basement of communications, helping, students set up their accounts and troubleshoot their email and set up internet stuff. I was also the Apple computer student rep on campus, helping faculty and staff with Macintosh stuff. And I was also a freelance graphic designer while I was a student. So I did layout for office supply catalogs. And when I was working for IT, of course, it's IT, so it was in the basement. So I actually, when I came back 4 years ago to start teaching here, I immediately went to go look at my old help desk office in the basement of communications, and it had moved. It had moved to the basement of Kerr Hall. I was like, oh no, IT's support help desk is still in the basement. And it wasn't, so I graduated with a literature degree, and then I got a job working in visual effects. I'm telling you right now, it was not my literature degree that got me a job after I graduated. It has helped me, but it wasn't like the thing. It was all these jobs that I had before and during my studies at UCSC that did help me get that job. And that job, here's my business card for my first job after graduating. It doesn't even have a title. That's Computer Systems Engineering is the department I work for at ILM. My title was, when I got hired, I think it was Macintosh System Administrator, but I was still doing IT. I was helping set up networks, and I was pulling Ethernet cables, and I was installing RAM in computers. And I was doing IT stuff, but I was doing IT stuff at George Lucas's visual effects company. Also, look at my business card. There's no email address on it. I'm old. I could have gotten a job, though, when I graduated from UCSC. I could have gotten a job as a system administrator, as a Mac IT person at any number of places in the Bay Area, including Apple. But I was lucky. I got a job doing it at George Lucas's visual effects company, which, by the way, that was my dream when I was a kid, was to work at Industrial Light and Magic making spaceships. And I got to the place earlier than I thought I would, but not in the job I thought I would, right? And even this diagram is missing jobs. So actually, Lucasfilm in Singapore, I actually work with all these different divisions there. So animation and LucasArts making video games, and Industrial Light and Magic's Singapore group. Also, when I was talking to Blizzard, I was doing work for Rhythm and Hues, teaching camera classes for Rhythm and Hues Visual Effects and Animation Studio. And then like between Riot and Santa Cruz, I was consulting for Accenture a couple of times. I was working with the board of Women in Animation in Los Angeles. And then I also was teaching for Academy of Art online classes, all kind of in between Riot and coming back to teach at UCSC. That's a lot of jobs, right? So that's my twisty path to get here. And again, there's still space. We don't know what happens after this. Also, I should have even broken out. Like I've had a couple of jobs since I've been back at UCSC. So when should I start looking for jobs, Tad? I hear you say in chat. So there are a couple of answers. Basically, right now. Whether it's you just started at UCSC, whether you're a senior, sooner is better. And you'll notice I say I don't say start applying for jobs. I just say start looking at jobs. Because looking at job descriptions and starting to look at what jobs are out there isn't just about finding a job. It's also about figuring out like, what are the jobs even? Like what are the opportunities out there and where are they? And the sooner you start looking at them, and better you'll be able to kind of tailor the classes you're taking or the projects that you do on the side to kind of build up your portfolio or to build up skills. The sooner that you kind of know what jobs are out there, the sooner you can start kind of angling what you do in your life to kind of push your way in those directions, right? All right. I want to look at some jobs. So I spent an hour or so looking up some jobs to show you. I'm going to actually switch over to a browser now and actually I clumped up some groups of them to talk about some different strategies and to look at some live jobs. Let me stop sharing and let me share. Let's start with job aggregation sites. So this used to be, Gama Sutra used to be like the place you would start looking for game jobs. So when I started teaching game students in like 2002, Gama Sutra actually had a very robust, not only job section of their website, but also a really thorough and accurate directory of all the game studios. They no longer have the kind of level of information that they used to, but it's still pretty good. And you can see, there's still jobs getting posted here. Big studios still post their jobs here. It is a place you could go to just see what kinds of jobs are out there. But these Gama Sutra and some of the other aggregation sites I'm going to share with you are a place to go, not the place to go. So you're going to have to do a lot of sleuthing and a lot of detective work and a lot of research, and it's not going to be straightforward. There isn't like a place I can tell you to go to find all the jobs, which is probably good because that means everyone would be going there and you would have a lot of competition. The fact that you're going to have to poke around and try to find some places that other people may not have found may eventually be useful to you. So this is one place. Gama Sutra is still worth checking out. Jumpstart's another place that's a little bit more focused on programming and engineering jobs. Ooh, look, it just refreshed. These are new jobs. But one thing you can do is like you can search game. Ta-da. And one thing that these sites are good for, even if it's not finding specific jobs, it's to find places you didn't know to apply to. Like, oh my God, Mattel undergrad board game design intern. What? Okay, that was not there earlier when I checked. That's rad. Look, you could be an IT intern at Mattel. So just using these sites to even just find places you didn't know had opportunities. Yes, you can click through learn more, but my advice to you is actually go to that website and try to find the information about that role, that position, that internship on the company website. They usually update those websites first, and then they'll come here. But this is great. This is another one that Bennett shared with me recently that I took a look at, and it's also pretty good. Now, I think this company is trying to sell you services, or they're trying to sell businesses services as kind of an HR portal, but for you, it's just a place where they list lots of jobs. Now, one thing that is a little bit of a red flag for me is there's nothing that says what company these are for, because they want you to click through and kind of go through their portal so they get credit for finding you, I think. Let's look at this entry-level animator, though. I'm very curious to see what this is. This just says what animators do. Let's look at opportunities. So one thing that's nice, so let's go back, because the reason that they're not showing specific jobs here, I was wrong, isn't because they're trying to trick you. It's because one of the services that they have here is just sharing with you what some of these jobs actually are. So they've got kind of definitions of these roles with some information about kind of why you might be good for this role, right? So this is more about figuring out what the jobs are and less about finding job descriptions to look at. But even so, this is a lot of good information, but it's not specific information. Job descriptions will be giving us specific information. And then another place that folks look for jobs is on LinkedIn. LinkedIn used to be mostly just about being kind of like a resume landing page for people and a way for recruiters to find people kind of with a searchable version of their resume, right? But they actually have a whole section for posting jobs and finding jobs. And it tries to look at your profile and match you up with jobs. Hey, maybe this is where I find the next job on my flowchart after UCSC. It's also, it's interesting because of the keywords I have in my resume, because I've been like project manager and director level. I get all sorts of weird stuff in here. Senior design manager at Uber for rides. Interesting. So yours will look very different than mine when you hit on the job tab. And you can search by title, skill, or company. You can search by location. And then they've got some suggested ones. And these are clearly based on my profile. So lecturer, senior lecturer, university lecturer, faculty lecturer. I think it wants me to look for a lecturer job. I think it just scanned what my current job is. No, I'm not going anywhere. Don't worry. Although something amazing came up. No. So that's just a taste of aggregators. But now I want to do to look at a different group of websites. And this is probably where a lot of you, if you're not looking at LinkedIn and other places where that aggregate jobs, you're probably just looking at studios that you know. There we go. So let's look at this group. So many of you like to play big AAA games, and many of you think about how cool it'll be to work at a big AAA studio. And they're actually great places to look because almost all of them have web pages specifically for students and recent grads where they list information about their internship programs. Increasingly, we see more and more programs focused on grad students as well. You get to see profiles of interns who've worked there, as well as their other kind of normal career pages. And we'll talk about those in a little bit. So here's Riot's internship university programs. This is also where you will find out, for those of you who are seniors, we are seeing an increasing number of studios, especially the bigger ones with kind of very defined and established internship programs, extending the availability of internships to recent graduates. So normally they want you to be coming back after you do your internship to do at least one more term of school. That's why most people do their internships in their junior year, the summer between junior and senior. But increasingly they have them available. Sometimes they'll say like, you can apply up to 6 months after you graduate. But this is where you will find out if that is true. So for Riot, currently enrolled in a non-degree program. So that means you could be someplace like Noman that doesn't do degrees, but does just individual classes. That's interesting. But it looks like they're still just doing, you must be currently a student, not graduated. And then the bottom here, look at all these internships. Right now, by the way, is when a lot of the bigger studios are recruiting and receiving internship applications. Usually between like September and December, they'll be taking applications. Sometimes they'll spill into January. And then between January and like March, they'll be interviewing and selecting interns to start for the summer. So if you're looking for a summer internship, you should be looking and applying now. And then let's look at Blizzard, because Blizzard got something else that's interesting to look at too. So internships, but also student contests. So for those of you who are interested in game art as a career, Blizzard and several other studios hold student contests. And these are, I think, useful for a few things for you if you're interested in being a game artist. One, you can look at the previous winners and get an idea of kind of what level of skill they're expecting for students who would be coming either to internships or to entry-level artist jobs. So you can kind of see where your skill level is in comparison to, the folks that, in this case, Blizzard thinks are the best of all the applicants for their contest. The other thing, though, is in the rules for entry, so they usually have some sort of like task for you to do, like design a character to go in World of Warcraft with some constraints on it. But part of those constraints are often like the exact specifications for assets for World of Warcraft. Like they'll tell you like how many polys that your geometry has to have. They'll tell you the dimensions of your texture that you need to have. They'll talk about like how they want the UVs laid out. Guess what? Those aren't arbitrary. Those are the specs for the game because they want to be able to compare students who are applying for jobs through this contest. They want to be able to compare you one-to-one with the folks who are doing the job right now. So this is kind of a secret way to find out exactly how the WoW assets are actually built. In addition to just seeing kind of what the level of student art they expect to see for people applying for these jobs. So keep your eyes open for student contests. Also, if you look at the previous winners and you're like, yeah, you know what? I can do that. Then you should apply for the contest. All right. So that's big AAA. Now let's look at game jobs, but not at big AAA studios. And sometimes maybe not even at game studios. So we're looking for Oculus. All right. No. Oculus. Hey, Oculus just announced and released a thing. The new Oculus headset that doesn't require a computer. It's also really inexpensive. There was some news a few years ago that Oculus closed down their in-house story and in-house development team that was actually making stuff. However, they are now hiring like crazy. So Oculus is part of Facebook, which may make it not appealing to some of you. They're a software company, they're a hardware company, and they also do some game making. And look at the number of jobs here. So 66 research jobs, design user experience job 6, Facebook Reality Labs, what is that? Let me embiggen this for us. So looks like research and development. So all over the place, including Zurich, Switzerland, Redwood, like that. I think that's their catch-all for their R&D. But AR, VR, product design, like this is literally like every kind of job you can imagine. Social VR, there's internships, there's 28 internships for PhD students. Program management, PhD and postdoc, product management, sales and marketing. So one for creative. What's it going to be? Oh, took us to a different place. Interesting. UI designer for Beat Games. So they're also, this is also a collection of of jobs at other studios that Facebook has purchased to help support Oculus and making VR, AR content. Word on the street from my friends at big AAA studios, Facebook and Oculus are hiring people away from other jobs right now. So, Oculus. Netflix, not a game company. However, software company doing interactive things. So some of you have watched Bandersnatch and some of the other interactive entertainment that Netflix is doing. They want to do more of that. Also, they're in Los Gatos as well as in LA. So they're close by. And they've got locations all over the place. But if we go and look, Los Gatos, California. So this is mostly software engineering in service of both delivering content, streaming, but also tools for the animation studio that they have in LA. So look. Browser, okay. So lots of interesting things. Now, Netflix is another company like Facebook that you might be really attracted to. They have an interesting company culture. It is very similar to Riot's company culture. So it's meritocracy and lots of self-directed careers. So you kind of have to advocate for yourself. They actually have a podcast that Netflix Recruiting does that will give you a very good idea of kind of what kind of company culture that they have. And then look, hey, it's my old place I used to work. So ILM has the X Lab where they're making VR and AR both for headsets, but also for amusement parks, for Disney parks and other places. But look, it's a level design job at ILM. So let's talk about this. Look what it says. Remote remote work options available. So I'm seeing this on more and more job descriptions that they're saying right up front, like, hey, everybody, we're working at home. So know that this is a job that you could work at home. And then let me make this a little bigger. And let me close this side navigation. So what would a level design / game design job be like at ILM, which usually does visual effects? Collaborate with multidisciplinary development team to advance a state of real-time rendered immersive experiences, so VR, immersive VR. Contribute to the creation of design and feature documentation, creative briefs, so documenting and presenting the work of a team. What do you need? Undergraduate or graduate degree in entertainment design, game design, interaction design, new media design. Hey, guess what? Many of you will have that. 3 to 5 years of experience and demonstrated facility in the process and design of interaction experience, blah, 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 blah. So let's talk about this, because this is a question that comes up a lot. Hey, Tad, this looks like an entry-level position, or at least like not a senior position, but it says I need to have 3 to 5 years of experience. Huh? Like, do I really? So should I not apply for this job? You should apply for the job if you think you can do the job. Sometimes this is a filter to keep them from getting 100,000 applications, to maybe reduce it down to 50,000 applications. I'm being hyperbolic, but thousands of applications entirely possible for some of these jobs. Hundreds for sure. So sometimes they're just trying to put a valve on that. So if someone's like, well, I've done like 2 years of experience making VR stuff, so I'm not going to apply. That's one less person that they need to deal with. But if you've been working as a student on collaborative VR projects, on other projects while you've been a student and outside of being a student, like that counts as years of experience. You'll be clear about it in your cover letter when you talk about your experience developing games as a student, but it still counts. It still counts. Now, if it says 5 to 7 years of experience working at a AAA studio, having shipped 8 to 10 games, well, yeah, that's not you. But if you look at the job description, it's probably clear that it's not an entry-level position too, right? But let's take a minute now, while we're here, to talk about the value of job descriptions and why you should be looking at them, even if you're not looking right now for a job, even if you think this might not be a job for you to apply to right now. You should be looking at job descriptions, and you should be saving job descriptions. Job descriptions are ephemeral. They come and go. They only post them when that job is open, and then they'll fill it and they'll take it away. So even if you just want to look at a job description for like, what does a level design job at ILM X Lab look like? Once they fill this, it's gone. So if you're like, oh, I saw this cool thing, I recommend that you have a folder in Google Drive where you save. I would recommend save PDFs, like print to a PDF from your web pages. Save them someplace in an offline version. There have been many times where I've been talking to a student like, oh wait, there's a job I have. I made a bookmark for it. Hold on. And I'll go look at the bookmark and it's gone. Save them. Even if it's like, oh, that's a cool job. I didn't know that was a job. Save them. You may want them later. They tell you lots of information about what these jobs are, what tools they might use, Unreal, Unity, etc. What type of kind of bonus skills, Scrum, Agile. Willing to travel occasionally. That's interesting. Save job descriptions. Look at this. They've got their own QA, quality assurance, within XLab. So if you're thinking like, oh, maybe a QA job at like Blizzard or something, like don't forget, like ILM, even though they're not a game company, they're making interactive content and they have all the pieces that they need done, including QA. My tabletop people, Wizards of the Coast in Seattle, they need game designers. Those talk about jobs that will get hundreds of applications. But don't forget, there are game design opportunities in tabletop, and as we already saw with that Mattel job, and in board games that you may have experience for that you got while you were a student. Look at these jobs at Wizards of the Coast. So there's Dungeons and Dragons. So editors, so that's actually like editing text and copy. Associate game designers. Oh, here's a good one. Vice President of Dungeons and Dragons. Now I think we found my next job. Okay, I'll see you guys later. I got to go apply for this Vice President of Dungeons and Dragons job. But like they have a new Wizards of the Coast also has an interactive group. So you can see they've got Unity development jobs, VFX artist jobs, tech artist jobs. Not everyone's going to be looking at Wizards of the Coast to find programming jobs, and yet there they are. All right, we're getting close to the end of my 45 minutes. Let's do a couple more things. I want to make sure we leave time for Q&A. Now, quickly, let's go through some non-standard roles. Let's look at... where did it go? Oh, I closed a tab. That's okay. We'll go to the next one. Cast a broad net. Speaking of tabletop games, Nord Games. So they make D&D accessories. They make card decks. They make bestiary books. They're starting to make miniatures now. They don't have they're a pretty small company, so they don't have a kind of deep kind of careers page. They're in Watsonville. So like someday when we're all together in Santa Cruz, like you could reach out to them and have something in your back pocket that other people who might be applying like Indiana won't, which is like, hey, I go to UCSC. I don't see that you have an internship listed, but I'm in the area, like, and I'm really interested in tabletop. Would you be interested in having an internship? Like that is a thing for smaller companies that is a possibility. Wonderstorm is the company that makes the Dragon Prince animated series on Netflix. They're also making games. They have not really broadcast that too much. They are making Dragon Prince games. Look at all these game type jobs and animation jobs as well at a place you wouldn't necessarily expect it. The Exploratorium has paid internships in San Francisco. If you're a science person, they make stuff there. They make interactive exhibits for science at the Exploratorium. They have, look at this. I like how they headline like we pay you. So the deadline has already passed, but keeping your eye open on things like this is probably a really good idea. Also, like, don't forget about non-job things. Volunteer at Indiecade, if it ever happens in the real world again. Volunteer at GDC. Volunteer at SIGGRAPH. You will meet people who might help you get a job later. Also, you'll just get to hang out at Indiecade and help make it happen, which is really cool. All right, and finally, last thing on this little quick, let's look at real jobs. Oh, I think, yeah. There's two things I want to highlight here on this page. So first of all, escape rooms are maybe someday again in the future will be a place where it's a really expanding market. There are lots of escape rooms, especially in California, popping up all over the place. They both just need people to work the escape room. So that's what the game master jobs are, and the attendant jobs, right? But they also need designers sometimes. And sometimes they will recruit designers from within the game master and room attendant staff that they have at the place. But the other thing I want to show you here is I just typed into Google escape room game jobs, right? And it popped up this. So we get our normal kind of Google search responses here, but this is new. So Google has started like formatting jobs for you if you're doing a search for jobs. So if we click on that, now it kind of has like this Google Jobs focused area. You can have it sign up for job alerts. So Google is trying to get into the helping you find a job business, which they've always been in, but they haven't been able to take your money, or more importantly, employers' money. So this is interesting. Do not forget about the power of just doing a Google search for jobs. Even just to find out if something is a job that could even be. So like tech artist game. See, now look, we're in this kind of skin in Google for job searching. And here's a bunch of tech artist jobs. Ooh, Lucasfilm needs a tech artist. Interesting. And you can see they're aggregating through like showbiz jobs. This one's from Activision. But again, this is another place to like find places that might be hiring that you weren't aware of. Ooh, third floor is using Unreal. What? So look at it. So they want you to go through these to apply for the job, but you just want to see the job. So you should go to the third floor, Inc. So there's a link to the actual studio website. I know the third floor. They're a previs company that used to do mostly film work, but now they're in LA. They're a bunch of former Lucasfilm folks I know. So don't forget the power of just doing a Google search to look for jobs. All right. Let me look at my list and make sure I hit a couple things before we open up for questions, but we'll open up for questions momentarily. Capture job descriptions. Oh, the other thing you can use LinkedIn for. So a question that I always get in office hours from students is like, I don't even know where I should be looking, what I should be looking for. And one of the other tactics you can use is start with companies that make things you like, games you like. Get in the habit of looking in the credits for games and looking for job titles that then you can Google search for, and looking for people. If you see a job title, like let's say tech artist for like character rigging on Monster Hunter, or on a game that you know is made somewhere in a place you want to live. So let's go back in time a little bit. Let's say character rigging for Skylanders. And then you're like, oh, this person did that. Search for that person in LinkedIn. Then you not only can see, hopefully, if you're connected the right way, or if the person has their LinkedIn profile publicable, you can not only see like, oh, here's that person, and here they are indeed working at Toys for Bob. They did work on Skylanders as a rigger. Oh, look, since then, they've worked on Spyro. Oh, wait, look, they worked at these other 3 studios before they got to Toys for Bob. Like, you can use LinkedIn as a way to find other things to look for. And you can also see through LinkedIn, again, if people have their profiles public, which a lot of people do, you can also start looking at other people's career trajectories. It's like, well, how did this person get to be a character rigger? oh, wait, look, they started in QA. Oh, wait, they actually went to, they went to Full Sail and then they got an internship at the studio. Like, you can actually start using LinkedIn to map other people's paths so you can learn from those paths and you can find other studios that you might want to look for jobs at. We talked about remote work being an increasingly popular thing. I have been talking to recruiters from different studios, and one of the things I was surprised is that not only are all the studios committed to working remotely for at least the next year, they immediately, as soon as they could, they all pivoted their internships to be remote internships as well. A couple of them got caught too quickly and didn't have a chance to pivot to remote for this past summer, but they're all lined up to do their internships remotely and some of their entry-level jobs remotely as well. So that is something that it's still going to be maybe a little bit weird right now, but as you saw already, they're starting to even just put in the job descriptions on their career sites, like, this is a remote position. So you'll be able to tell right away kind of what's available for remote work and what's not. Okay, I covered most everything I wanted to. I wanted to cover a lot of things fast, but also show you the jobs in their natural habitat, which is in a browser rather than on slides. All right. Q&A. So Vincente, have you been capturing questions on our question doc?
Yeah, I've got a couple questions right now. The first one we have, someone asked earlier, what if we haven't been working as a student? A lot of internships only accept college students. I'm worried what happens when I graduate if I don't get one.
So if you have been lucky enough to not have to work while you're a student, that's actually good, because it means you've had the chance to focus. But you're in that position of maybe being able to take advantage of those studios, those companies that have internships that are available to recent grads. And that's what you're going to be looking for, recent grad opportunities. Look very carefully at the internship application. It will say, under qualifications, it will say must currently be a student, but increasingly see must be within 6 months of graduation. So you still, even though you're a senior, you still should be looking for internships this summer, just making sure that you're applying for ones that are open to students who have graduated. There are some that are open to folks even longer than that. And we came across one that just said, you have to be any kind of student. So if you're taking like a community college class, guess what? You are now back in the internship pool for a lot of studios. So I've had students I work with in the past who graduate and feel like they missed out on an opportunity to do an internship. So they'll go to Cabrillo, they'll go to Orange Coast College, they'll take a class. They're like, oh, you know what? I need to kind of brush up on my programming, or I need to take a math class. They'll take that class and guess what? You're now a student. A lot more of them don't even care if you're full-time. You just need to be a student. So hopefully that helps.
All right. The next question we have is asking about how do we know who to contact about summer internships? They never seem to get a hold of anyone through the generic emails that they provide.
So if it's, I assume you're talking about if you're looking for an internship at a place that doesn't have like a dedicated like internship application process. Some studios don't. Some companies don't. Again, like we talked about with Nord Games, some of the smaller studios. Info at, general at, usually they'll have some sort of contact information. You're not always going to get a reply. So, I would say an HR, human resources contact or a recruiting contact is your first kind of line of attack to try and get connected with someone who might know about internships, but also too, I've had several experiences where it actually wasn't the recruiters or the HR department that actually started an internship for a group. It was a manager, or it was a hiring manager within a team, or a supervisor in a team, who realized like, oh, we could use an intern. And then they would actually go out and find an intern. So sometimes it's connecting with a person. Now, something we haven't talked about specifically, I think this is a good example where it might be a useful connection, is previous grads out of our programs that you might know because you help them with their capstone project, you work with them in GDA, you classes with them. Like, you know people who will get jobs at studios. And if you know somebody who went to UCSC, if you have something with them, you might actually have contact information that someone else might not. By the way, now, your UCSC email, you get to keep that forever. So, a year from now, if you're like, oh man, I think this person I know is working at this company, but I don't know their work email, like, send mail to their UCS email. They might be looking at it. But try to find an email. Most places just have like the top level, like contact at Hinterland Studios. You'll have to go that way and you may not be able to get through. But see if there are other ways you can get in through individual people and the like. But it might be hard.
We have another one that's let's see. What are some jobs to look for as a CS game design major? I don't see many game designer jobs.
Yeah. So this is a problem. So everybody calls jobs different things. I mentioned tech artist. Sometimes it's called rigger. Sometimes it's called text artist. Sometimes it's called tools developer. Game design. There are level designers. There are quest designers. There are systems designers. There are combat designers. Sometimes just being kind of using your college student research skills is helpful. Just search for game design jobs. You're going to come back with a lot of stuff. But again, this is a place where using the credits for games, either find them online or even still, like sometimes just like watching the credits at the end of a game and looking to see like, what are the names of the jobs that people do? That's where you'll find things. So if you want to know, like, what kind of game design jobs do they have at Sony Santa Monica? Like, I want to work there. Like, look at the credits for God of War and see what the titles are. It's not great for students that studios don't standardize on their job titles, but they don't. So again, job descriptions too. Every recruiting website, all those job descriptions are also lists of what they call those titles. And again, you can have your folder in Google Drive and everything that you see like, oh, this is character rigging, but it's called X. I'm going to put it in my rigging folder. And you'll get a long list of all the different things that rigging artists are called. Sometimes they're called rigging artists. Sometimes they're not even classified as an artist, even though they might be doing art. So it is confusing. You are going to have to be a detective. You're going to have to be a detective who also takes notes and retains notes. You should have Google Docs going. You should have folders where you can keep PDFs. Like this is a mission that you are on that it will pay dividends to you to be very kind of organized and methodical about your job search.
There's another question. Should freshmen start applying for internships? I have some programming experience, but I'm not sure if it's enough for an internship.
So you should definitely be looking at internships. And if you see any that feel like you could, that you're qualified for them, absolutely apply. Like worst case, they say no. in some cases, especially with students who are a little bit earlier in their academic career, you might actually get like a, hey, you're not ready for this, but we look forward to you applying again in the future when you've got a little bit more experience. But internship job descriptions are either like super vague or they're incredibly detailed. So you should have some idea. There are also internships that are geared. I mean, the nice thing about internships for all of you is the expectations of what you're coming to the table with are in many cases lower than they would be for an entry-level job. There are internships at studios that basically you don't need a portfolio. You may not need to do any kind of programming test. A lot of those are more kind of production and kind of process-oriented internships. But those are also like, if you're a programmer, you can still apply for and do an internship that maybe isn't a programming internship, but it is at a studio that does do programming. So use your best judgment about whether you think you're qualified for them, but also keep an open mind to the types of things that you will be looking at and applying for.
Here's another one. I've looked at a couple of positions. Sometimes the responsibilities for the job is way more than what their requirements are asking for. How much should that affect my application?
I mean, yeah, that is something I have seen also, where it's like 3 lines of like requirements, but then the duties of the job are like 25 lines and they don't seem to line up. I would say look at the duties of the job in that case a little bit more closely, because they're probably more accurate. That's usually where folks start with writing job descriptions. They just sit there and like, okay, what are all the things we need this person to do? If you look at that list and you're like, okay, I can do less than half of these things, then maybe it's probably not something you should apply for, even if you have the requirements that are down below. But I would say if you have most of them, that's fine. I think, it is very hard to find somebody to fill a role who has all of the experience, all of the requirements, and has experience doing all of the things. Like, and some of the items on the responsibilities of the role are things that you couldn't do at another place because they're like unique to that place. So kind of feel your way through, but I would say put more emphasis on the actual duties of the job and mapping that to kind of what your experience is and what you feel comfortable with. I think maybe one more. I think we wanted to do like 15 minutes of Q&A. Is that correct?
Yeah. Let's see. There's a couple of other questions if you want to take a look at that.
Let's do a couple more.
Yeah. Okay. Here's a general question. For smaller studios that only have senior positions open, is it bad to apply or email and ask if they have a junior role?
Maybe. Some smaller studios actually don't even list job descriptions to say, hey, we're always looking for great people. Double Fine in San Francisco is like this. They don't list any open positions. They're just like, we're always looking for great people. Let us know. And they're asking you to do exactly what you just said. But having said that, yeah, it's not a bad idea to apply and let them know in your cover letter, hey, I didn't see any junior roles listed, but I'm really interested in your company. The senior roles feel like they're jobs that I aspire to work toward. I'm wondering if you have any entry-level jobs that would be kind of on a path toward that. So I think it's not a bad idea to do. Again, it's as long as the tone of your communication is, hey, I realize you don't have this, and I'm wondering if that might be something that would be possible in the future, or can you let me know when those, what's my best way to keep track of whether those jobs might come available? You don't want to have the tone of like, why don't you have any entry-level jobs? You never do. This is terrible. Here's my resume. You should hire me. Like, be conscious of your tone. But always, yeah, I don't think it ever hurts to ask. If you don't see the job, it may just not be posted. They may need entry-level folks, and they just haven't gotten around to posting the job yet.
We can do, I think, is 2 more okay, or should just 1 more?
Sure.
Move on?
I think so. I mean, I don't want to throw us off schedule, but also like, I like answering questions.
Okay, let's go with this one. This person says, I've graduated this past June, and I've been trying to get a job this whole time. No luck yet. It's been hard and a bit defeating getting either ghosted or said no to. Is there a way to know what I'm doing wrong or what I could do better?
That's hard. There are a very few studios and recruiters who take the time to reach out to applicants that they don't move forward with, to let them know, like, hey, I noticed in your portfolio you're missing X, Y, and Z thing in terms of an art job. I know some recruiters who are amongst the best recruiters because they do that. I've done that before, where I've seen an applicant and they're like, oh, you're not quite ready, but if you just did a few more like things, if you add a few of these skills to your resume, if you do a little bit of extra work in these areas, like, then next time the job comes around, you'll be in a better position. But that's a lot of extra work that a lot of folks won't do because they just don't have the time. So it can feel really bad when you just don't hear back. Often it does feel like you're just sending your resumes out into the void. And again, some of these roles will have hundreds of people applying for them. What I would say is, if you've been applying, so when you say I've been trying to get a job this whole time, how many jobs have you applied for? You should be applying for even more, no matter how many you applied for. And also, widen out that net, widen out the kind of jobs that you're looking for. Some of you have in the past have had real constraints about like not being able to work all over this, like not being able to relocate for a job, about needing to stay in California or near your family, or being able to stay in a certain geographic location. We're in a weird place right now where that might not be a constraint anymore. So maybe there are some jobs that you maybe haven't applied for in the past that you might want to apply for now. But again, if you're applying for jobs here and you're not getting any response, then start applying for jobs, down here that are either not exactly the job you want to do in games, or not in, like, also remember, your first job out of school might just be a job, might be like a regular job, like doing IT. And it might be doing IT at a bank, but then your next job after that might be doing IT at Activision. And then your next job after that might be doing tool programming and back-end stuff for Activision. So I think it's always a good idea to, in the mix, keep applying for like regular jobs as well as game jobs, just so that you are, you're increasing your chances of hearing back and of staying, and also just, staying employed while you look for a job. There's a saying that I have found to be fairly true. It is easier to get a job if you already have a job, no matter what kind of job it is.
All right. Thank you, Tad.
Yep.
So I think we're going to end the Q&A session there. And we're going to move on to Christina Hall. Christina Hall is a career coach from the UCSC Career Center that specializes in working with students interested in careers in the arts, entertainment, and media. She has 13 years of experience as a career coach, with the last 5 at UCSC. Her bachelor's degree is in creative writing, and she has an award-winning poet and an actor. And she was an award-winning poet and an actor at a theme park, in community theater, and at Renaissance festivals before getting her master's in education. Her goal in life is to keep creative people creative. Everybody, I give you.
Thank you, Vicente. Yeah, so basically that, I feel like that introduction kind of like confirms my arty nerd cred. So let me get my presentation back to the very first part, and then I can share my screen and we can get going. All right. So the first thing I want to do is just talk to you a little bit about the UCSC Career Center, what we can do for you, and then kind of move on from there. So I'm going to go over 3 Career Center services that I think are really key and could be really handy, because my thought is if I gave you a million different things, not everybody would necessarily remember it, since we're receiving a lot of information tonight. So I'm going to tell you about our online document review service, Handshake, and the Career Advice Network. So I made you a little tiny URL. I made like 50 tiny URLs for this presentation. Thank you. For our online document review service. But basically what this is a Google form, essentially, that you can submit your resume or cover letter to, along with a job description, which is really key. Because you want help not just putting together a good resume, but putting together a resume that is customized to the type of jobs that you want to apply for. And so it's taken care of by our peer staff. It's a great way to have your resume, have a quick rundown before you meet with me, before you meet with like a faculty member or a mentor. So you feel like, okay, I've got the basics down. I'm not making any really common mistakes like grammar or spelling. I have it in a format that can go through an applicant tracking system. You know, I don't have essays and paragraphs. I have it in a nice like outline that a recruiter can quickly scan through and run down. So I think it's a great thing to do just for yourself. Even if you have a really busy schedule, at least you can submit something online and get it reviewed and looked over by one of our student workers. And it's a great way before you come into, again, an appointment or a networking situation or whatever, just to make sure things are looking pretty good. So the other resource that I wanted to tell you about is Handshake. You can find Handshake at ucsc.joinhandshake.com. Handshake is one of the primary web services that we use through the Career Center. It is probably the largest entry-level job posting site in existence. A lot of universities have accounts on Handshake. And what's great about Handshake is we share jobs with other universities. So, you know, some students are concerned like, oh, if I go to UC Santa Cruz, am I just going to be connected with opportunities that are in Santa Cruz? What if I want to go back home to, you know, LA, or what if I want to go to the East Coast or somewhere else? And Handshake has positions that are on there. Our employer relations team is always working to try to get more gaming positions on Handshake. So that's something that, you know, we're constantly working through. Another use for Handshake is registering for special events. So throughout the year, we'll have alumni panels, you know, different talks, job fairs. We do one specifically for the arts division. We also do a CC fair, which is a computer engineering career and internship fair. And so I feel like between those 2 fairs, you guys could, you know, potentially find something. So it's a great way to find out about those events, register for those events. And in the case of our virtual job fairs, that's where the event actually happens, is on the Handshake platform. The third thing that you can do, or the fourth, with Handshake is make appointments. So I see students anywhere from frosh, when they first come in, up to 4 years after graduation as an alumni. Now, if you've graduated longer than 4 years ago, that kind of gets out of our comfort zone in terms of placing entry-level workers. But within the first 4 years, you have access to our services. You can meet with us and talk to us. So, you know, it's a really good service to provide. I mean, typically career coaching on its own can be very expensive through other sources. And you can have a single appointment if you need help with things like double checking your resume. Maybe after you've put it through the document review service, you're like, hey, this is a job I'm applying for. Do you feel like this is customized to the game industry? Am I getting enough of the right skills and things like that in there? Other things we can help with is doing a mock interview. If you get booked for an interview somewhere and you want to do a practice with me ahead of time, that's something that we can do for you. We also help with graduate school applications. So let's say you're getting ready to apply for graduate school and you want somebody to review your statement of purpose and work on that with you. That's something else that the Career Center does. So we're really trying to help you, even just to strategize, right? Like if you're starting to feel stuck and you're like, I'm not looking at the right places. I don't know what else I'm doing. Sometimes I have students just sit down with me or check in with me, just, you know, to find that out. So the third resource I wanted to share with you is sponsored actually through the Alumni Association, but it's really cool. It's kind of like our own mini version of LinkedIn at UCSC. It's called the Career Advice Network, and it's at ucsc.firsthand.co. And it's a place where you can see our alumni volunteers. So the last time I went on there, and I wrote down a list of some companies I found. Again, I wish we had more game design alumni on there. When you guys graduate, could you please get on whatever our platform is so that students can talk to you? But basically, these people have already said yes to talking to you. So you don't have to go through an awkward, like, does this person want to talk to me? Do they not want to talk to me? I'm not really sure. When you click on their profile, you can make an appointment. And I would say 80% of the time, somebody's going to get back to you and chat with you. I have had students that have had, you know, a couple of situations where somebody hasn't, but for the most part, it's been really great. I teach a career planning class and I make all of my students do what we call an informational interview, which is essentially like networking with somebody and asking them questions about their job and how they got started and all of that good stuff to get some information together. And so I went on there earlier today when I was preparing for this to see what kind of video game people there were on there. And they weren't all in game designer roles. Some people were in like programming roles, or there was a guy that was in public relations. But I found people on there from Jam City, Leapfrog, Riot, Pixar, Nintendo. So our alumni have gone on to some pretty cool companies. And most of the alumni on that system actually say they wish more students contacted them. So I think it's a really great resource for you guys to check out. You can also look by groups or kind of cross-reference people by group. So if you're looking for somebody that's first gen, maybe LGBTQ, belong to one of the other like ethnic resource center areas, maybe somebody even that was in the same residential college as you. It's another way that, you know, you can kind of find people through the Career Advice Network. All right. So I thought one of the things you could do, because I'm going to ask you to do an activity, Tad's going to help me with it. We're going to try to get you started with some, you know, job search practice and things like that. But one of the first things I thought that we could do is just brainstorm some job titles. So what are some job titles? And if you go to mentee.com and use the code 931194.8, it lets you put them in there. And then it'll magically show up on this slide. But what are some job titles that you've heard of in the game industry that you know people do? Yay! They're starting to appear. Yes. And if you can't think of any job titles, this might be a good time to screenshot, right? When you see a bunch of job titles up here. Perfect. You guys are smart. Look at this. I'm excited. Keep adding additional job titles. Fantastic. Okay, so I think you guys have got some good, oh, we got a couple more. So I think you guys have got some good ideas rolling on here. Look at that. Perfect. Yeah, CAD and 3D modeling. So my brother-in-law is a sculptor, and one of the really cool jobs that he had was working for a company called Sindaver that used both his digital and physical sculpture skills. And he made synthetic cadavers for medical schools. Now he carves pumpkins on the Food Network. He's crazy. All right, awesome. So you've got some job titles going. Like I said, this might be a good screen capture moment. So we're gonna do another little warm-up activity to get us ready for what we're doing next, okay? Here we go. What are some companies you'd like to work for? Nintendo, I love Nintendo. So we've got some knowledge in the room, right? Square Enix. I'm not a huge video game person, but you can see I have a secret chocobo behind me in my background. So, oh, somebody's got like a whole list going. They've got like multiple places. Anyone who would hire me, yes. That's a good start. All right, so we can see, yeah. So you guys are starting, so some of you guys, even if you're kind of early in, you really have started thinking about what are some places that you'd be interested in. So that's really cool because that's part of the process, right? All right, so we are about to break out into an activity, and we're gonna do a scavenger hunt, and I have a cheat sheet for you. So if you don't get the cheat sheet, I might be nice and come around to the chat rooms and put it in. But this is the cheat sheet for our activity that's going to help you out. You ready? All right, so we're going to put you in small groups, and we're going to have a scavenger hunt. And I'll put these, we can put these in the chat as well. These are going to be the 5 jobs that you're looking for.
And I just realized I can't make breakout rooms because I don't own this meeting.
Can I make breakout rooms? Oh no.
I think.
Let me see. Hang on. Okay.
One of us can.
Somebody can. If not, then Juan left us, I think.
Is Juan here? Did he leave us?
He may have.
I think to leave us, he would have had to have anointed one of us
The host.
I think Christina's the host, so I think you can
Let me.
send.
Okay.
You meet Tad.
You can also pass me host, I think. If you click
Ooh.
on me.
You're now the host.
Hey, and guess what I can do? I can make breakout rooms. Okay.
Yay!
So this is going to be random breakout rooms.
Mm-hmm.
How many people do we have? We've got 62 people.
Yes.
So I'm going to make... How many people per room do you think? Like 3?
Okay.
Let's see. Okay. Here's breakout rooms with around 2 or 3 people in them. You can go to your rooms and work together. Pop open your browser and start looking for things. How long are we going to give our groups? Do we think?
15 minutes? 10 minutes?
And then let's do 10 minutes.
Okay.
And then we'll call everyone back and pull you out of your rooms in 10 minutes. Also, your chance to meet some of your fellow students who are interested in the same things you are.
Right.
Yes, so we are recording, but the recordings don't record what happens in the breakout rooms.
Mm-hmm.
So. All right, rooms are open.
Okay.
So 5:38. So we'll call people back at like 5:50.
All right.
Saying that I'm getting an invitation for a breakout room. Should I just go ahead and join that?
I think you can, or I can also.
You can pop into
You
them
can
and see.
I think you can. So if you click on in the breakout rooms, if you click on the name.
You have your own breakout room?
Yeah.
Oh no.
I just set the microphone. I was not expecting to get in the breakout room.
Let me the only thing I wanted to do for you in the breakout room is make sure that you have the list of the cheat sheet and the criteria.
Okay.
So this is, I don't know if the chat, it should go to everyone. Let's see. Are you Ari?
Yeah, I'm Ari.
Zoom is so smart. So that's the list. That's the little helper sheet. And then
This is
the criteria. So yeah, it's got a bunch of.
Yeah, this is really helpful.
Yeah, Tad made that for us, and then one of our students made it pretty. He gave us a spreadsheet, and this is the stuff that we put on the scavenger hunt if you want to play.
Oh. All right, sure.
All right. So I'm going to leave and pop around and see if I can be of help to other people in their rooms, okay?
All right, thank you.
Sure. I popped into one room.
I popped into a few. I'm going to actually send them a message to remind them to hang on to those URLs.
Yeah.
Like open up. So like open Notepad or something and capture the URLs for the things you are finding so you can share them in chat when you get back. Okay, I've been rolling dice and going to that room. Oh, I already rolled a 3. Let me do. Do you remember which room you went to?
11.
Oh, good, because it looks like Ari's all alone there.
Yeah. So I went and said hi and made sure he had the resources if he wanted to play too.
Let's go. I'm gonna go to room 6. I'll be back shortly. We've got like another 3 minutes or so.
Okay.
Okay, I think I have time to visit one more room. Where? Oh, Annie asked for help. I'm going to go help Annie.
All right.
Okay. Oh, we have, let's see. Nathan, I just assigned you a room if you want to jump in really quickly to room 6. So I think I think it's set for if I close the rooms, it'll give us 60-second warning.
Okay.
Which I think we should do now. So I'm going to do, let's see, about to close rooms and call you back. Copy your links out of chat before they disappear. I misspelled disappear. Hello, cat.
I know, I heard meow.
Frank. Frank is here. All right, I'm going to close all the rooms. So they've got a minute to come back to us. Frank, what are you doing? And then are you soliciting their answers in Menti? Or are we going to have them do it another
No,
way?
I was just going to have them.
We can have them put them in chat.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that is fine.
Ooh, we're getting them back. We're getting them back.
Yeah.
Yeah, somebody said they have results, so they must have come up with. They must have come up with some.
Come back to us. So hang on to those for the moment, Sam. We'll I think we're gonna have you paste them in chat. It is Frank. Frank was actually on. You missed. Frank was talking. He was right up at the microphone meowing. Yes, I'm sure some of these links are going to be super long. Frank, come here. He's busy. He's taking a bath. Okay, so everyone should be back now, I believe.
Frank has a fan club.
He does. Frank has fans from all my classes. He's very popular. Okay. So I was jumping around. I was rolling dice and going to random rooms. So I talked to quite a few of you. Christina popped into some rooms too. It sounded like people were finding things. It was actually really cool. So I think let's do this. This is going to be this might be a car crash. Paste your links in chat. Yeah.
Oh, look at that. Oh, somebody has theirs numbered? Andrew, that's awesome. So we know exactly which ones.
Fantastic.
Look at that. Ooh.
So I see some from LinkedIn, very good. I see some directly from Riot Games and for Rockstar. A handshake link, yay.
Mm-hmm.
11-Bit Studios. Mooney Cat. Oh, good. This is some cool, like smaller studios. Epic. Some Greenhouse links for Insomniac. Valve. So the other thing some of you are learning about is like, what company HR systems do people use? What back-end recruiting systems? Greenhouse is one that I've had to use a lot.
Yay, got some remote jobs.
You may be also noticing that you're finding the same job posted multiple places. That is also normal. Did anyone find any of our more esoteric jobs, like job at a game company founded by a woman, job outside of gaming that uses your skills? Cole, paste the link and I will open it up and share my screen. Okay. So number 5. So job outside of gaming that uses your skill. Oh, this is a good one. I'm going to share my screen. trying to share my screen. Oh no. I had a crash. That's not good. Well, maybe I'm not going to share my screen. Here we go. Oh, it is. Is it sharing? And it's not telling me. Can you guys see this Twitch job application? Okay, good. It's not showing me the little green ring that says I'm sharing. So this is a really good one, Cole. So a software engineer at Twitch, so game adjacent, but one you might miss if you were just looking for jobs at game studios. Degree in computer science, 5+ years of professional software development experience. Professional? Maybe. Python, Go, Ruby, C, C++. That's a lot of different things, but it says one or more. That's a really good one, Cole. David, let me look at that one. Let's see if I can go straight to it. Nope. Let's see. So Congregate has a woman co-founder, and they've got producer jobs, lead producer, senior game designer, creative director. Again, you may have found my next job. Thank you. Let's find out about, where are they? About us. Ooh. Contact us maybe to find out their physical location. Maybe. Nope. They are somewhere in the world. Too bad. Okay. Good. You guys found a ton of stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
Um,
I had one more little goodie that I wanted to
Yeah.
leave for you guys in chat that you can copy and use. So this is my little, I like students to use a spreadsheet or some way of tracking their jobs when they're posting. It's an ugly link because it's to a Google form, but you can copy it and make your own version. And it's a place for you to list like job titles, jobs you're applying to, companies you're interested in, people you want to meet and talk to. So it's a good way to keep all this stuff organized.
And related to that, so that's a great starting point if you want to keep your own list. Also, Benjamin pasted a link on the UCSE ArtG Discord where there's kind of a crowdsourced directory, Google Doc with game jobs, which is awesome.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it is really cool. And you can make it even better because you can add things you've found. Perhaps someone could do a gigantic copy and paste out of chat and put some of these in there. It will not be me. Link to the Discord's up above. I will so this is a link to the doc. If someone could also paste a link to the Discord in chat, that would be amazing. Oh yeah, GDA has a bot on their Discord that also posts indie game jobs. Fantastic.
And I'm on Discord. It's been crazy so far since school started, so I haven't gotten a chance to go like hang out and chat with you guys. But I'm hoping to get in there and answer some questions if any are within my qualifications to answer.
That would be good. Yeah, that's awesome. Very, very good. GDA Discord link in chat, anyone? I know we have GDA folks here. I see you. Yeah, Nico, come on. You can do it. Okay. Oh, okay. Good. You're going to get like the up-to-date validated link from Nico for the GDA Discord. Very, very good. Ta-da! And just like that, there's your link.
Sente, do you have a post survey for the people?
Sorry, could you say that again?
Do you have a post survey for the people to fill out?
Oh, the post survey. We got to see how we did.
Yeah, I was gonna we could do the post survey and then or would you want to do the Q&A session first, or?
I want to maybe do the post survey, see how they're feeling, and then we can do some Q&A so that way we're respectful of people's time if they need to go.
Correct. Yeah, because we are running out of time.
I mean, I can hang out for a few extra minutes, but I don't want to take for granted that like everybody can hang out for a couple extra minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So.
All right.
Thank you for blessing my wife sneezing in the other room. I'll pass that on.
All right, the poll is up.
All right, so be honest. How do you feel right now about these things? Thomas, that is a good response. Oh, there's another sneeze for everybody. Okay. We've only got 7 people. Fill out the poll.
I guess we can use this time just a PSA to go and vote in November.
Yeah, go vote.
Vote in this poll and in the later one.
Okay. Oh, good. We're like it. Half of you. So we're at 60%. Very good. Yes, it's allergies. Almost certainly. Yeah, if you've changed your year, we're in trouble. If you've decided that you no longer want to be a senior and you're going to go back. Also, we don't have do we have? Oh, yeah, we do have 4+. Very good. This is UCSC. The 5th year is real. Yeah, change is major.
Oh.
All right. So we're at 84%. That's pretty good. I am acutely aware of question 5. Oh, I like what I'm seeing in the responses for question 5.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot bigger.
Oh, good.
In chat, was I successful in reducing your anxiety with my talk? And same thing with Christina. Was the overall event helpful in reducing anxiety? Oh, that makes me happy.
Right.
Very much. I'll take it. Office hours. I do have office hours. It is the beginning of the quarter, so I do not know when my office hours are yet. I have not memorized them. Hold on, please. I can tell you. I just need to look at my calendar. This is when someone in one of my classes will jump in and tell us. Wednesdays from 2 to 3:30. I have open office hours, so I've just got a waiting room, so you can just come, and if there's nobody in line, you can chat for as long as you care to. If there are people in line, I might kick you out. Ask you politely to let the next person have their turn. If you're not in one of my classes this quarter and you want to come to office hours, just send me email, tad@ucsc.edu, and I will send you a link to the Zoom. Hey, literally no one came to office hours today, which is fine because I was working on my presentation. But now there's a bunch of you who know that you can come to office hours and get questions answered. All right. Look at these survey results.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, 4 and 5 are making me very happy. We can continue improving on those. Oh, these all look, yeah, this is good. So the question 7 about having all the stuff you need, that's okay. Start collecting it. Christina and the Career Center are a really great resource. If you feel like you are just having trouble getting started, especially like resume and cover letter, like they are so good at helping kind of jumpstart you and kind of motivate you and get you going. Plain text version of a resume. So some places where you apply for a job on a web page, they're going to ask you to copy and paste your resume into a text field. You should have a plain text version one ready that doesn't have all the formatting, because sometimes when you copy and paste into a text field, it puts in a bunch of garbage characters. You want their automated system to be able to parse your resume clearly. So it's a really good idea to have a plain text version kind of ready to go as just one of the things when you update your resume. Just also have a TXT version just in the folder where you keep updated versions of your resume.
The recorded version of this talk will be on the Career Center's YouTube page, where you can also see our previous alumni events that we did with AGPM. And we have a couple more events in the works for you guys for the school year.
Yeah, so we're going to do one of these every quarter, correct?
Yeah, we're going to do portfolios, but that's going to be actually the whole arts division in winter. And then we're going to do another alumni panel in spring so you guys can network some.
Very, very cool. Nathan, yes, you can hop on mic and ask a question.
So actually I had a question. So if for certain jobs they may say like, okay, Burbank, California, or some that may say like Redmond, Washington. I'm wondering, in terms of the idea of location, that, you know, at what certain point would it be okay to like, okay, you know, going to Burbank, California, it's worth taking that trip. Whereas like, say, if a certain job that will totally work, like maybe if you live in the West Coast, it's all the way in the East Coast.
Mm-hmm.
So because I understand that there's also a cost when it comes to taking that trip. So
there is.
What I'm wondering is
another consideration is entry-level jobs. They're probably not going to pay you a relocation fee for an entry-level job. So they're not going to cover any of your cost of moving, which, you know, you don't have very much stuff probably because you're just starting out as a person who has a place to live. So your cost will be lower, but there's still absolutely a cost to moving that you will most likely bear yourself. So that's a decision you need to make. It's a decision also like you can do the math to figure out kind of what's cost of living in the city that you're going to. Also, recruiters will help you with that. So if you're to the point where you're starting to talk to a company about a job and maybe you've been through the interview and they're starting to talk about like, well, tell me about your compensation requirements. At that point, you can say like, well, you know, I'm worried about moving. And then they can talk to you. They may have resources to help you with that. But it's a hard thing. Some students notice in their job search like, wow, there are a lot of jobs in LA or a lot of jobs in Seattle. And now I'm not even in California anymore. I'm back home. So like I'm in Indiana.
right.
But there's enough jobs, so I think I'm gonna take a chance and I'm gonna move to Seattle. It's a risk, but also, you know, it can also be an informed decision. It does make you a slightly more desirable hire for a job if you meet all the qualifications and you're already in the place where that job is.
Right. I think also someone had asked in the chat, was asking about jobs overseas.
Yeah.
What's your take on that? Is that worth taking the risk as well for, you know, taking that airline trip? Or
I am a strong advocate for working overseas. If you can make it work, again, it can be costly to do, and there aren't as many entry-level jobs for overseas postings, but if you're interested in living and working outside of the US, it can be incredibly rewarding.
Right. And I suppose that depending on the cost of those travel is just something we kind of have to decide based on our financial situation.
Correct.
Okay.
And Sean asked about language requirements for working overseas. It depends. We had a studio come and do a presentation last year from Japan. Japan's a notoriously hard place for folks from overseas to work because every studio in Japan speaks Japanese as their primary language. Very few people speak English in Japan, but they actually have translators so that they had there was no requirement that you know Japanese to work at this game studio in Japan. And of course the name is escaping me right now. However, it usually is a consideration, and usually there is information about language requirements at a studio. The reason that Lucasfilm has a studio in Singapore, the reason that Ubisoft has a studio in Singapore is everyone speaks English in Singapore. So even though it's in Southeast Asia, like anybody who speaks English can work there. So it could be a consideration. But also if you're trying to learn a language and if you've been studying Japanese for 4 years and you want to try and get better at it, like that might put you in a better position as well. It is CyberConnect. Thank you. Yes, Angel, Asia, Singapore is Asia Light, sometimes called Asia for beginners. Singapore is a very easy entry point into Asia for folks from overseas. All right, it is almost 6:15. Maybe we can take a couple more questions and then we probably should call it an event. How often do internship job apps require an essay? And do you have any advice for writing them well and quickly? The quickly is the hard part. So sometimes they'll have a requirement for an essay, but often the essay is your cover letter. And for internships, your cover letter is really important because the assumption is none of you have a lot of stuff on your resume and they want to find out who you are. And the cover letter is basically that essay. And the cover letter is where you can tell them a little bit about why are you applying to this internship? Why this studio, this company, and not another one? The most common feedback I had for students when I'm like proofreading cover letters and giving them feedback, I'll read an entire cover letter and have to ask them like, why are you applying to Activision? Like, why are you applying to Double Fine? There's nothing, this letter could be going to any place in the world. This could be going to Macy's. It's so generic. Like, it should be about why you want to work at that place. Being conscious always of not wanting to appear like you're overly anxious. So, avoid phrases like, I would kill to work on a Star Wars project. Or, you want to show that you care specifically about that company, that you have a connection to that company and maybe the products that they make, but maybe not so much that they're like, oh my gosh, this person is going to drive us bananas if they work here. But yes, what if you would kill? Just keep that, maybe for the second interview, you can let that go. Like, hey, by the way, if there's anyone you need murdered, do not murder for a job. Don't confess to crimes during an interview. Again, maybe like second and third interview. Yes, and maybe if it is an assassin job. So gauge the role that you're applying for. So working abroad can be challenging, Logan. It's changing culture, learning to not only learn the company culture of a place you're working, but also the culture of the place where you are working. Again, it varies, but that's also the benefit of it. That's the benefit of working overseas. For me, it certainly was for me and my family. I think for lots of people I've talked to who've worked overseas, like it is a challenge. Our first 6 months in Singapore were they were rough just because there's so many different things to learn. But after that, it was amazing. Yeah, working in Japan does sound amazing, but like things you don't think about, like going to the grocery store, finding food, cooking food, getting your cable set up, getting a cell phone number, most studios have folks that will help with that stuff, though, if they're recruiting people from overseas.
Back up a little bit. I saw something fun that somebody did in a cover letter about it. To like say that they were a fan of the game without being too obvious about it, is they just put, you know, I have achieved like X badge level, whatever the achievement was in your particular game or something. And I thought, oh, that's clever. They just had one little sentence, but it lets you know, hey, if you got this achievement, you must have like.
Yeah. It used to be that you could, that Riot wouldn't even talk to you unless you were gold ranked in League. And I think that for a while it was platinum, but they've since removed that. I think my being able to say at some point I was bronze trash probably wouldn't help me get a job, but that's a great way to kind of show that you have a connection. It can be kind of a humble brag, but it's more subtle than saying, you know, I have 300 hours put into The Witcher right now. I just pulled that number out, but it might be accurate. Okay. Any last questions in chat before we sign off for the evening?
I think I saw one earlier, or there was one earlier that was asking, what if you're applying to 1 million game jobs and it's just one of them, like where there's not necessarily a specific connection to the company?
Mm-hmm. As far as, so like if you're applying to 1 million jobs, you don't want to have to write 1 million perfectly crafted, customized cover letters, maybe? The answer is you should. Do not send the same cover letter to everybody. Christina knows this happens. This has happened to me before, where I am looking at resumes for a job at Lucasfilm and it says, Dear DreamWorks. Oops. Like your chance of making an error are very high. So I would say treat each one with care. It's very tragic. If you get hired at one company, you're still waiting to hear back from the others, that's fine. If you hear back from the other ones, you just let them know like, hey, thanks for getting back to me. I actually just accepted a position at Studio X. What you don't want to do is accept a position at a company and then a week later, another company gives you back an offer that you're like, oh, I want to go to that place instead. Like, accepting a job is a commitment, and you want to not be known as a person who backs out on those things. Recruiters talk to each other. Their network is very intimately connected. They are all friends. They all hang out together at trade shows. They all have cocktails at GDC. So that can be a benefit to you as well. If someone said like, hey, I see this person worked at your company and now they're applying for us, and they'll be like, oh yeah, that person was awesome. They just had a life change or whatever. So it's where we can prepare for programming. Yeah, programming challenges. So different studios for programming jobs might use different tests. They might give you real-time tests. There are a bunch of, some of you are already familiar with some of the practice websites out there to do practice programming. And some of the studios actually use those. I would say practice. Try to find out what type of programming tests they give. I didn't talk about Glassdoor, but Glassdoor is a website that where people publish not just information about like what it's like to work at different companies, but also people report back on Glassdoor after they've applied for a job or had an interview at a certain job. And so sometimes you can find out from Glassdoor like, oh, okay, Riot uses XYZ test for engineering, or Riot networking actually uses a different test. So try to find out as much as you can about what specific skills they're going to be looking for, and so you can sharpen those. But you can't precisely plan exactly for what they're going to ask, usually. All right. Art test. Yes, there are some studios that will ask for an art test. Often, if it can sometimes be that they're basically asking you to do free labor for them. Be wary of art tests. What I see more often is the organized contest like Blizzard does. But more often, what I think is okay is if a recruiter says, hey, we really like what we've seen in your portfolio, but I noticed that you're missing, like you don't have any human style characters in your characters. Could you do one for us just so we can make sure that you can do that? That's different than saying like, hey, can you build this asset for our game? And then we'll do it as a test. And then they send you something that says like, by the way, we can use whatever you do for our test. Be cautious. Be cautious about that. All right. I think we've done it. Have we done it, Christina? Vincente?
I think so. Yeah.
Should we call it an event?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for coming to the fall event. Just want to remind you, as has been mentioned before, there's also we'll be having 2 more events. I think the winter one is about resumes
Portfolios.
or
Portfolios.
And then the spring was the alumni board. So yeah, we'll let you all know about that in the future once that gets solidified.
I'm looking forward to Vincente's videos announcing those events.
I'll be working on more promo videos.
Yes.
So you can also look forward to that, I guess. Yeah. Also, if you want, you can also, any feedback that you have for the event, you can go ahead. I'm going to put a link.
Oh, great.
Or that's the email to contact. Just for any feedback for this event, if you have any.
Yes, please.
But yeah. Yeah, excited to hear from all of you, and thank you. Have a good night.